Hi friends! Today we are going to be doing a drawing of a hummingbird, and the inspiration for this actually comes from Keigo and Shogo. They have a beautiful hummingbird nest outside of their front door, and it has two little babies in it. So the first thing as the materials, we're going to need just a drawing paper. I lined up various colors of colored pencils, so white, lime green, this is like a grass green, an aqua or like a turquoise, a blue, ultramarine blue, and black. Hummingbirds have really beautiful colors, almost iridescent, so if you want to use other colors you can as well, but these are the ones I'm going to be instructing with, and also just a normal pencil and an eraser. So I'm going to do this one portrait orientation, so it's going to be tall instead of long. The first thing I want to do is start out with a circle. This is going to be for the hummingbird's head. And as always, you can decide where on your paper you'd like to add your subject, so our hummingbird. I like to do mine kind of near the center and bigger so you guys can see it really easily. The next thing we're going to do is from the top third of this circle, you can do a slightly curved line curving over towards the left. Now this is the hummingbird's beak, so they have a really long pointed beak. And then we are going to come from the bottom left side of the circle, curve down. You can do a little curve for the belly. On the back of the head, we are going to do the back of the spine, so you can do a curved line curving from the middle right side of the circle, curving down towards the right. And it's going to continue beyond this line, just keep going, and that becomes the tail. Similar to how we did the blue jay, you are going to leave a little bit of space here, do a curve curving around. This is the simple shape of the tail feathers. And then they have these really beautiful long wings. So we can go ahead and leave a little bit of space here. I'm going to start my wing on the right. And you're going to do a really long, quick line to go from here to the top right side of your paper. This is a very fluid gestural line, so you see I did it really quickly. And then we are going to do super light, curve around until it connects to the back middle of the body. So that's the simple shape of our hummingbird's anatomy, so the shape of the body. And now we can add the eye. This is a side view, so we're only going to see one eye. It's going to be in the top here. It's pretty large compared to the head. Okay. Once you're happy with the circle you have, you can press down a little bit harder, medium pressure. And then we can start from the top of the circle here. So we started with a sketch like always. Now I'm pressing down a little bit harder, curving over to the left until it touches the end of my beak. From the end of the beak, you're going to do another curve line, curving back towards the head. So I'm going to put a little mark, that's where it's going to connect. So it is tapered, meaning it goes from bigger to really, really skinny, and these are nice and long so that the hummingbird can stick its beak deep into the flower and get the nectar. We're going to do a small circle inside the eye. That's for the highlight. That's going to give it a little bit more of that 3D effect. And then lastly, for the anatomy, we are going to do, if you want to, add curve. This is for one of the hummingbird's feet. Then you can do 2 more curved lines. Okay, here's 1 foot. And then you can do another one right underneath with 3 curves. Alright, so we're just going to hop right into the color. So we're going to work from lightest value to darkest value color. So the lightest one I have, skipping white, of course, white we're going to use for blending. We're going to use this lime green. If you're using Prismacolor, it's called spring green. And I'm just going to add this into the belly. So shading, you're going to use the flat side of your pencil. And this is a light pressure, so I actually want the light pressure because it gets that hazy kind of texture, which makes it look a little bit more like the hummingbird's feathers. So this is pretty much all along the body. And then I want you to just go ahead and do a diagonal straight line cutting into the top corner of our wing. So starting with simple shapes like this, we can build upon that and get more and more detail. And now you can shade that section. Okay, so we are also going to bring a little bit of this color along the back of the head. So continuing with that lime green, super light pressure. And then lastly, from here, just kind of filling in this gap between the green of the head, the wing, and the belly. Okay. Before we move on, actually, I want us to erase the outline of the circle that we no longer need. So, you know, right here in between the neck, get rid of that area. You can also erase this little section here where the beak attaches to the head. Okay, and that just really connects our whole body. We can leave this because we do want this curve for to show the distinction between the body and the wing. Oh, and my mistake, we actually do need one other colored pencil. That's going to be, it's like a red-orange color, kind of like a coral color. So let me show you. Good one. Yeah, so like this kind of color works really nicely. I'm gonna sharpen that. Make sure it's sharpened to a point because we're going to be using that inside the color in the beak, which is super thin. Alright. So, for this, you're going to want to point your pencil for the tip. So you're going to fill in this whole entire beak area, and this is with a hard pressure because I like that really bright pop of color, the saturated color. Okay. And then you're also going to add just a little angle line, so short diagonal straight line and another diagonal straight line, and then this little triangular shape, you can color it in. Let me see if I can get you guys a little more sun. There we go. All right. So the next step, we can leave this color. We don't need this anymore. Move it to the side. And we are just going to go on to the darker value green, so this green right here. So I'm going to use this medium pressure. I'm going to run this along the bottom of the neck, also along the belly, you can also do, you can shade, so this is a light pressure because I want the dark green and the light green to mix together along the front of the belly. And then we can go on to adding this deeper green along the top of the head. So pretty much here where the point of the beak is. Okay. Do a really light line. And then we're going to shade around the eye. Okay. And then also lightly shading above the eye so that green mixes with the light green. So with our last lesson, we were pressing really hard to get those really flat colors. This one I'm pressing lightly so that I can get the colors mixing together. Okay. Go ahead and bring that green right here into the wing. And then you can also bring it just outlining the top edge of the wing and shading a little bit into it. Okay, so we have this little section of white area. So today we're blending colors on top of each other, layering them. So go ahead and, using the flat side of your pencil, color in this section. So you'll actually start to see the difference between the areas where it's just the green and the areas where the light green and the darker green start to mix together. So it's a little bit of color theory for you, color mixing. All right, that's it for this one. So you can put that to the side. And now we're just going to go on to the next color. This one, it's a light aqua color, one of my favorite colors. So this is showing up right here, right in the area between the neck and the belly. Now this one I'm going to do, the direction I'm going to do is from the top right to the bottom left. So I'm just going to color in, if I'm showing you really close up, show you really quick. So if this is what you have, you know, the green and the lime green kind of layered on top of each other. Now I want to bring in that light aqua color, so this is a zoomed in version again. I'm doing little tiny angle lines, okay, and just sprinkling them all over to add that color. So you'll see the color will really start to mix together, and it really creates a beautiful kind of like glittering look to the eye. So that's also known as iridescent. Like if you look at let me think of a good example, iridescent, like the inside of a shell, like an abalone shell, it's iridescent. It has that really shiny, reflective quality to it, pearly almost. So this is where I'm adding that color application. Kind of along the neck, like a collar around the neck. Okay. Put this to the side. Okay, so the next step, we are going to add the deep blue, so that ultramarine blue. And this is from the beak. You can do that same application that we did with the light aqua. Little tiny spots of this deep blue. So we're layering colors on top of each other. This is a really great exercise for texture because you can really see the difference between the beak, texture of the beak, and the texture of the feathers. They have these tiny little feathers along their body, kind of colors sprinkled all over, and then they have really long feathers for their wings. Okay, and then I'm also going to bring this deep blue color along the back here. So again, really soft, light pressure. And notice as I'm shading, I'm going with the curve of my body. Okay. Give you guys a couple minutes to do that. All right, so moving on, I'm gonna go back to this orange color, okay, the red orange that we used for the beak, and I'm gonna add that into the tail feathers. So what we can do is, just starting out, we can do a really light layer of orange on top, and this is cool because you can see as we start to mix the deep blue and the red orange, we get this purple color. So this is for the tail. You already see a difference between the tail and the back. And then I'm also going to add some lines, so I'm going to use a hard pressure. First, just outline around the whole bottom edge of the tail with your orange. And then I want to split, this is like a really big area, I want to split it up into individual feathers. So what we can do is just leave a little bit of space, press down hard, and do some curved lines, splitting this tail up. Okay. And then since we're down here, if you want to outline the feet with the claws, you can do that with the orange or whatever color you like. Cool. Now, lastly, to fill in the wings, so we have the general shape, and now we're going to add a little bit more detail. So starting out, I want you to outline the top of the wing here. Okay. Just a really thin black line. Okay. And I'm actually going to start from the bottom, so close to where the body is. So also outline this curved part from the green along the back of the blue body until you touch that guideline. And so now we're going to create that like fanned out spacing. So leave a little bit of space, do a straight line, a little bit of space, another diagonal straight line. So we're moving upward splitting this huge shape into individual feathers for the wing. All right, nice. So now to make the edge of the wing, use a light pressure. And we're just going to connect each of these lines with a curved line. This is called making a scalloped edge. Cool. All right. We'll get back to the wings in a little bit, but while we have this darker color, I want you to just run it along lightly. Okay, so it's, even though it's black, it's gonna look like a gray along the back of the body until it touches the orange. And then now we can add the black of the eye. So just, you know, tighten up your grip. Outline the circle, the highlight. Outline the circle of the eye and then color in everywhere except the highlight. That makes it look super cute. Okay, so we do want to add some of, you know, the same texture we have on the body onto the back. So using your black but really light pressure, we're going to go back to that same, you know, way that we added the little areas of aqua. So just using really light pressure, scribbling little marks for the back. So even though we've been using colored pencil for the past few projects, I like to show you guys different ways that you can use your materials. So you don't always have to use it with a heavy hand. You can get different types of marks and color application by changing the way that you hold your pencil, the way that you press it against the paper. So it's good to practice just these different ways of using your tools, because artists have so many different tools that they could use, but really you can make a lot of magic happen with just a few things. And then last little bit with the black, they have this tiny little dot right here on their beak. It's almost hard to see. It's right there. Okay. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you guys is going to be a cool kind of technique to create movement. So movement, the way that artists can create movement is to really think about the way that the subject moves. And so hummingbirds, we all know, they move so quickly and their wings move so quick that we can't even really see this much detail. And so to mimic that, similar to the propeller of a helicopter, you know, it just looks like this big blur because we can't see the way that it is, you know, shaped, because it's moving too fast for our eye to see. So go back to your pencil, your drawing pencil, okay? And we are going to sketch really lightly into our wings, into the feathers. And you notice I'm going a little bit outside of the lines. That's good. That's what we want for today. So I'm using really quick, energetic lines. Okay. Okay, so the final step for our hummingbird is we are just gonna leave our pencil to the side and we're gonna use our fingers. So, you know, we have oils in our fingers, and when we push it against the graphite, which is what our pencil is made of, the lead and the graphite, it's going to smear it. So that way we can get this effect of it really moving quickly, like it's blurred in space. So you can use 1 or 2 fingers, just press down really hard. You're going to want to hold your paper down with your other hand, your non-dominant hand. And then as you bring it outward, I'm just running my finger along the lead, and I'm blurring it, so it's kind of hard to see from the video, but here. You can see it's blurred out, and so it really looks like it's moving really quickly. You might even do it again, you know, with a little bit of a darker pressure. So we're just trying to get rid of the lines and create this really blurred kind of effect. There we go. Yeah. So that's it for our hummingbird. We have a little bit more time, so we can talk about some background ideas, and looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with and how you can use, you know, just a few materials, different application and technique to create something that really comes to life.